Alright, the first free-to-play unit I want to talk about today is LR Tech Grandpa Gohan. It is very impressive that you were able to run him in a fight like Red Zone Super Saiyan Blue Goku. I get it, he has type advantage, so like there is some pick and choosing there for sure. But the fact that you can even run him against that fight is very impressive. I know World Tournament LRs, it's not very rare for them at times to hear that they are usable in the current meta, but there are definitely some World Tournament LRs that did not impact the meta the same way as some of them have. And Grandpa Gohan has definitely been the best of all the World Tournament LRs in my opinion on release. Again, easy A's, whatever, you can argue, whatever that may be, but Grandpa Gohan has been a very valuable asset, especially for Dragon Ball Saga, who struggled for a long time until they got Tao and Tien and all these other valuable assets to make it a relevant team. But until then, Grandpa Gohan was kind of holding down the fort for them in order to be able to have an optimal team, but he was not even a bad option, really. If you had Goku there with him, he was really, really strong, and he made Goku look really impressive as well. So, again, one of my favorite free-to-play units for sure. Nice, clean animations, kind of simple, but they are very nice, and again, one of my more enjoyable free-to-play units for sure. The next unit I want to talk about is LR AGL Bardock. Of course, everyone loves this unit not when he came out, but once they started using him, they started realizing how good this unit is. He's a Festival of Battles monster. I don't really love him in the Red Zone fights. I know he can have some use in there, especially if you can get him through without losing his guard and stuff. But again, he's never really been my favorite unit to run in there. I would rather use him in Festival Battles just because the bosses don't scale up as quickly as they would in Red Zone, and you're able to stack Bardock very quickly in there. And again, like I said, once you're able to stack him, the fact that he's a good optimal option for Festival Battles is pretty impressive. Just like Grandpa Gohan, it is not super common, at least especially in the back of the day, for free-to-play units to be completely relevant in the meta. I know we've had units like Roshi and Bio Broly, so it's not like uncommon for it to happen, but there's definitely been some lulls of periods of time where free-to-play units have not been like, you can run this in Festival Battles, you can run this in Red Zone, you can run this in Battle Hardened, right? Like, these units actually have uses for them because they've been tailored to all these difficult modes, and you can get them at any moment you want to, as long as you do the grinding for them. Alright, the next unit I want to talk about is Tech World Tournament Gotenks. I love this unit because he's not a traditional stacker, but they made him really, really good in Festival Battles. I probably wouldn't run him in Battle Hardened Formidable Foes, or I probably would not run him in Red Zone either. You probably could get away with in Red Zone, but he really is tailored to really long events. He stacks, not stacks, but he scales just like it does. He stacks normally, just in his kit. He also has a high chance of further raising his attack and defense again in his own kit. So he has like a 20-20 stack, and then he can get a 50% chance to do that again on that same super. So he can get a 40% stack every attack technically if you're very, very lucky. But the cool thing as well is he gets 30% attack and defense per attack he performs in the turn. Now the reason why that's important is because let's say for his first turn he started at 200k defense, right? And then he did some stacks, and then the next turn he's at 600k defense at the start of turn. If you did 5 attacks in the turn, you would have 150% attack and defense buff. So his defense would be multiplied by 2.5, so that means the 200k defense would go up to 500k defense, which your 600k defense would go up to 1.5 million defense. So it's between a 400,000 defense swing, he actually gains 1 million defense extra due to how multiplicative works. So when you're using Gotenks in Festival Battles, the more stacks you get, the quicker he becomes extremely dominant. The numbers he can hit attack-wise is insane if you can get some of those rolls on your way. Of course, you need to get the attack and defense up within each attack you do. So you need to get Key Spears to get all those attacks, whether it's super attacks or not, they still make it multiplicative. So overall, this Gotenks is a really good Festival of Battles unit. He's very strong, and again, if you get enough stacks, he can look incredible by the time he gets to the end of that event. The next unit I want to look at is Super EZA Zamasu Goku. I'm pretty impressed with the fact that they actually ended up Super EZAing this guy, especially because of the fact that he EZA'd in 2020, which is not too far off, I guess, but, we have so many other units who have not EZA'd yet, so it kind of does show that they don't really care where a unit's Super EZA or not. It's like, if it fits, it fits, so it's pretty interesting to see that. This Zamasu Goku gets 60% damage reduction within the first 4 turns, 20% of it being the first 4, and then he gets 40% no matter what, as long as all allies are extreme class. But he looks pretty impressive, especially in slot 2. He gets a multiplicative attack and defense 159% up. He gets another 159% defense when attacking with 18% or 18 key or more. So, and then he also gets a attack and defense up 59% when doing a final blow, and then 59% dodge. So the goal basically is to get a kill with him before your damage reduction runs out, so you can get that dodge to allow him to be pretty optimal in those cases. He actually does a lot of damage. I was actually pretty impressed to see the damage numbers he does. Tanking wise, he's pretty decent. I mean, he could probably get caught in certain content, but he is a very valuable asset right now, especially to super bosses and to Rose. So I would definitely get this unit if you can. Grind it up, super ECA, whatever you need to do. He's very impressive. Alright, let's get to the real reason why I'm making this video, and that is the Rose clones. I think these are all very impressive free-to-play units. They did a really good job in designing how each one is different from one another, but they all play off of each other. For example, the AGL one is all about dodging, so he's a great slot 1 option, especially if you're in that new hardest event, the Global Dokkan Special Battle, or whatever you want to call it. 90% dodge, it doesn't matter how much damage you're going to do to him, he will dodge it. The tech one is also, I like this one a lot, because essentially if you can lower the attack of the enemy, he destroys their attack by 70%. That is a ton of attack lowering right there. Like 70% is, you don't even see that in super attack effects a lot of times. So when he nukes it all the way down by that much, if the opponent can be attack lowered, he is going to destroy it. This clone team can easily shred the Red Zone Super Saiyan Blue Goku, literally because of the clone Green Goku alone. Just every time he shows up, negative 70% attack. That is insane. There's also some tanky ones, like the physical one who has guard and 50% damage reduction. The Int one, who's a support unit, he gives 70% attack and defense to all allies. He has a scouter, and then guard with 12 key. And then your SCR one is the attacker. Not a lot of defensive mechanics on him, but he does have crit, and he has a lot of attack. So overall, these are some really good units. Again, you do need to run them with the new Rose as a leader, of course, but all the clones on that team are a very impressive unit, and it's just a fun team to run, honestly. Alright, let's just get back to the basics here. We got the next one being the EZA LR Fizz version Z Goku. Basically the same reason with the clones as it is here too. Saiyan Saga had a really good free-to-play team that came out last year, and he was the anchor of that team and a leader for that team. He's a very strong slot 1 unit with a guard and his damage reduction that he has a part of him as well. Again, his damage is really good for the time that he came out. Overall, again, I wouldn't say there's not much to say about this unit that I haven't said about him in the past, but he is a very solid unit, and Saiyan Saga 100% needed somebody like him to hold the fort down as a slot 1 unit, just because, again, there's not really a ton of slot 1 units that you get to see nowadays for that team. We had a lot of chances to see one, but we never got the chance to get one for him. So overall, again, I think he's pretty impressive, especially because, again, you are trying to get that defensive stacks so that you can, once you lose his defensive abilities, he's able to hold his own. But overall, a really good unit. Again, I really do want Saiyan Saga to get some love eventually. Maybe not for Global Dokkan campaign, but I could see it for like New Year's or maybe something like Golden Week, because really the Vegeta and the Goku need Dokkan Fest. They don't have regular Dokkan Fest units yet, which is kind of crazy. Alright, the final unit I want to talk about today is Fizz Hit. He's one of my favorite free-to-play units of all time. He doesn't have a crazy amount of attack. He doesn't have a lot of defense, but his dodging and his dodge counters are just so fun to look at. His animations are very good, again, especially that dodge counter. I wish they gave that to the Int Hit. It just looks really good. Once you attack with a 12 key, he has 66% dodge. And then, of course, with every super attack you do in the turn, he gets another 6% dodge. So he can look at probably around, 84% dodge once you get all of that going in his favor. And then each dodge he does, he gets 66% attack and defense within the turn. So you're constantly building up that counter damage as he's dodging and dodging and dodging and dodging. But he's also building up his defense each time he's dodging and dodging and dodging and dodging. So he ends up looking very good. Once you get all those dodges out of the way. He actually can tank eventually once you do enough counters. But again, for a free-to-play unit who has an EZA, by the way, he is incredible. Universe 6 anchor before we got some more units like Champa and stuff like that. But he is one of my favorite units to run for free-to-play units. And again, for Universe 6, he actually was a great option as long as the fight wasn't dodge canceling. But let me know in the comments below what you guys think about these free-to-play units. Do you guys think I hit the nail on some of these? Do you guys enjoy the Rose clones? Is there other free-to-play units you thought should have been on this list? Let me know in the comments below. If you want a playlist to all my voice content, it's going to be the first playlist under the description. The second one's going to be to all my Dokkan Battle content. And I'll see you guys in the next one.